For over 2 decades now, fans of The Walking Dead have been dying to know what actually caused the Walker outbreak. It's one of those questions that has never been answered, and honestly, it probably never will be. Robert Kirkman, the mastermind behind the original comic series, has made it clear time and time again that leaving that mystery unsolved is a big part of what makes the story work. Way back in the early days of the comic, Kirkman sat down with IGN and straight up said he had zero interest in explaining how the Walker apocalypse started, and he stuck to that stance all the way to the end of the series. Even today, fans are still asking, hoping for some kind of official explanation, but Kirkman had his reasons for keeping things vague, and he's been pretty consistent about it since at least 2007. Now, let's be real. The easy answer to what is The Walking Dead about is walkers. But if you've actually spent any time with the series, whether reading the comics or watching the TV show, you know that's not really the point. The undead are just the backdrop, the driving force that pushes the human characters to their absolute limits. At its core, this story is all about survival, relationships, and how people deal with extreme situations. Kirkman even said in that old interview, if you take away the walkers, The Walking Dead is just an intense, grounded story about people struggling to survive. And that's exactly why he never wanted to explain the outbreak. Think about it. If he had just said, oh yeah, it was caused by some weird space spores, it would have instantly turned the whole thing straight up sci fi. And that's not what Kirkman wanted. As wild as it sounds for a series about walking corpses, he wanted it to feel real. Giving a concrete explanation would have made it seem way more like a fantasy or a sci fi story instead of the grounded, character driven drama he was going for. Now, this is an interesting take because, in a way, Kirkman was sort of defending his own story choices. A lot of people hear zombies and immediately think the story is just mindless horror fun with no deeper meaning. But Kirkman wanted to challenge that idea. He wanted people to see The Walking Dead as serious storytelling, not just another gory zombie flick. And honestly, he kinda had a point. One of the reasons The Walking Dead became one of the biggest franchises of the 21st century is because of its realism. Sure, zombies are the hook that draws people in, but it's the human drama, the tension, and the emotional weight of these characters' journeys that keep people invested. That's what made it stand out from a thousand other zombie stories. Interestingly, the TV show did eventually reveal a little something about the origins of the virus, something Kirkman avoided in the comics. But according to him, that wasn't a road worth going down. He didn't want to risk breaking the magic of what made the story work just to satisfy people's curiosity. Instead, he kept the focus tight on the characters and their struggles, without getting too caught up in world building or unnecessary lore dumps. And honestly, that choice is a big reason why the comic remains such a classic. Plus, leaving the cause of the outbreak a mystery actually helps the immersion. The characters themselves don't know what happened, so why should the audience? It puts readers in the same headspace as Rick and others, lost, confused, and forced to deal with the world as it is, not how it used to be. The apocalypse doesn't come with an instruction manual, and that uncertainty makes everything feel more authentic. That's not to say fans didn't try to crack the code themselves. Over the years, people have come up with tons of theories about what caused the outbreak, everything from secret military experiments to divine punishment. Some have even tried to link it to other Kirkman works like Outcast, speculating that the Walker virus might have supernatural origins. But Kirkman has never given any of these theories the time of day. He's always maintained that the answer just doesn't matter. Of course, the TV show did shake things up a bit. Unlike the comic, the AMC series actually hinted at the origin of the outbreak in a few different ways, most notably with the CDC storyline in season 1. Dr. Jenner's cryptic message about the virus suggested that there was some kind of scientific explanation, even if it was never fully explored. Later, the spin-off The Walking Dead World Beyond gave even more hints, pointing to a potential connection to French scientists. But even with these clues, we still don't have a definitive answer, and that's probably for the best. In a way, Kirkman's approach to the Walker outbreak is kind of genius. By never answering the question, he ensures that The Walking Dead remains timeless. If he had tied the virus to a specific real world event or technology, The story might have felt dated over time, but by keeping it vague, the series can still feel fresh and relevant no matter when you read it. It also keeps the focus exactly where it should be, on the characters: Rick, Michonne, Daryl, Negan, Carol. These are the people who make The Walking Dead special, not some convoluted backstory about a virus. Their struggles, their relationships, their choices in an impossible world, that's what fans connect with. That's why people kept coming back, even after the comics ended and the TV series started to wind down. And let's be honest, sometimes the mystery is better than the answer. If Kirkman had ever revealed the cause of the outbreak, it probably wouldn't have lived up to fan expectations anyway, no matter what explanation he gave. Some people would have been disappointed, and it might have even taken away from the mystique of the series. By leaving it open ended, he lets every fan come up with their own personal theory, which is honestly a lot more fun. At the end of the day, The Walking Dead was never really about walkers, it was about people. It was about what happens when society collapses, how people adapt, how they break, and how they find hope in the darkest of times. The walkers were just a catalyst for that story, not the story itself. Kirkman knew that from the very beginning, which is why he never let the origins of the outbreak overshadow the real heart of the series. That being said, the lack of an origin story hasn't stopped The Walking Dead from becoming one of the most influential zombie franchises of all time. If anything, Kirkman's decision to keep things ambiguous has only fueled more discussion, more theories, and more engagement from fans who love to speculate. The mystery surrounding the outbreak has become part of the franchise's DNA, making it one of the rare long running series where the unanswered question is actually more powerful than the answer itself. And really, isn't that how most great horror stories work? The scariest things are usually the ones we don't fully understand. Once you start explaining every little detail, the fear and suspense start to fade. By leaving the origin of the Walker virus a mystery, Kirkman allowed the world of The Walking Dead to feel even more chaotic and terrifying. The characters aren't just trying to survive, they're doing so in a world where the rules have completely changed, and no one knows why. That uncertainty makes everything feel that much more dangerous and unpredictable. In the end, Kirkman's refusal to explain the outbreak wasn't just a creative choice, it was a statement about what kind of story he wanted to tell. The Walking Dead isn't about the past, it's about the present. It's about how people survive, how they fight, how they change. The walkers were never the real focus, they were just a spark that set everything in motion. And honestly, that's why The Walking Dead has endured for so long. Because at its core, it was never really about walkers, it was always about us. But anyway, yeah, I'll see you in the next one.